All right, happy Thursday, everyone. Welcome to the Ravit Show. I am super excited for today's show because I have a very special guest, and it's not a new face on the Ravit Show because it's none other than Laurent Dresse, Chief Evangelist at Data Galaxy. We've already had a great session where Lauren shared a lot around data governance. He shared around Data Galaxy and the data space in general. But today's topic is super interesting because we'll be discussing about best practices for data catalog project, data governance, data catalog capabilities and features. So don't forget to ask questions to Laurent about these, but not only just that, I'm sure Laurent will be super happy to discuss other types of questions around data and data governance. So feel free to bring them on for Laurent. Also, there's a very cool giveaway that we are doing today, which is an annual subscription of 365 Data Science. And what you need to do is type in hashtag 365 Data Science in the chat. This is what I am mentioning, that you need to type it in the chat. I will just type it for you guys so it's easier for everyone to just follow what I am saying, and we'll be announcing one winner towards the end of the show. So go ahead, type in and enter the raffle, and we'll announce the winner towards the end of the shows. But it's time we call our guest, Laurent, to discuss more about data cataloging and the projects. Hey, Laurent, welcome to the Ravit Show. It's such a pleasure to have you back. I was just telling the audience about what we'll be discussing today. I know for a fact, you've worked on this session and you've actually come up with some interesting insights that you want to share with our audience today in terms of the data catalog project, data governance, data catalog capabilities and features. So I'm super excited, but I'm sure our audience is super excited too. But why not start with your introduction, just for those who are joining us very freshly?
Yeah, thank you, Ravit, for this second opportunity to share with you. We're now long friends for quite some time. It's always interesting to share expertise and experience with the community. I will be, as you stated, talking about data catalog, data governance, best practices, and how Data Galaxy can bring the data to the people on the market and
Yeah.
making sure that we bring value to organizations. So I'm super excited about this session, and thanks again for the opportunity.
Same here, and it's a pleasure. Definitely, all these topics are super intriguing, and it's something where the audience obviously want to learn more about. But I also wanted to, obviously learn more about your journey in the data space and how has it evolved, and what's your current state of, like what's your current state of position in the data, the big data space. So would love to learn more about it.
Yeah, I started in the data space about 15 years ago. I was working as a project manager within a big manufacturing organization, and they decided to implement, move from Excel and start implementing a real MDM platform. And that's where I jumped in the data world, representing my business unit first and then taking over the entire program. And this is how I discovered the data world in general. So moving from MDM to consultancy, helping organization shaping their data governance framework, tool selection, implementation, and so on. I was really able to build step by step my knowledge and expertise around that topic. And then 3 years back, I decided to jump over the fence and join Data Galaxy. I mean, on the software editor side, solution side, where I was able to leverage my knowledge and help our customer base with the implementation of data catalog, best practice sharing, and modeling of their use cases.
Okay, this is pretty interesting, and I know for a fact where you're coming from. It's always important to do something different, and it intrigues you. And as far as I've seen you, Laurent, you've done excellent in this space, and there's so much to learn from you in terms of the data cataloging, data governance. Whenever, obviously, even if it's off air, whenever we talk, you have so many great insights, and that's one of the reasons I'm so excited to host you again on the Ravit Show. But just for our audience, can you tell us what all would you be covering today for them, and what all they can learn from this session?
Yeah, just to conclude on your statement, thank you very much for these kind words. I'm also putting a lot of effort in sharing with the community.
Yeah.
For the ones who know me and following me on LinkedIn, I'm running the Data Governance Kitchen. So do not hesitate to subscribe or connect on LinkedIn. I'm trying to share my expertise and insights, but also I'm open of getting into the conversation with people around that topic. So today I will share Data Galaxy's views on what is modern data cataloging, what is important step to link data governance to data cataloging, and also share some best practices on how to implement or not implement a data catalog.
Okay, that's pretty cool. Thanks for that, Laurent. Also, we had a comment in the chat where Shraddha mentioned about some slides that you'll be sharing. So there's a huge preparation that Laurent has done for everyone out here to give us more insights about obviously data cataloging, data governance, and the best practices. So can't wait for that. Lauren. So we can get into the weeds already. I feel.
Yeah, let's jump into it.
Yeah.
Let's share. I will briefly introduce Data Galaxy for the ones who doesn't know the organization, then talk about modern cataloging best practices, have a very quick demo so you get a grasp on our interface, and then I will be answering any of your questions. So if we look at Data Galaxy, we are a data catalog solution provider founded in 2015 in Lyon. And we are really focusing on collaborative data platform or data governance, first on the French market, but also internationally as we are rapidly growing. So we are now 55 employees. Just for the comparison, when I joined 3 years back, we were probably 14. So we really grew quite fast in terms of workforce. We also have 85 plus customers in France, but also in Portugal, UK, Belgium, and Switzerland, and we'll be continuing growing, and you will see it later on. So, in total, we had roughly 7 years of intense and rapid development, where also the future is quite bright because we plan to double our size and our turnover by the end of the year, and also reach the US market end of this year, beginning of next year, because this is also where the bucket of potential customers are or is. Sorry. Then what do we see from Data Galaxy in terms of modern data cataloging? First is what we think is a data catalog is the data knowledge workplace. It's really the place where we can serve the entire population of an organization around data. Uh, just to be on the provoking side, for us, this is the end of the technical supremacy of IT masters everything or IT owns everything. It's really a joint effort within enterprises where there should be a joint venture between IT business to leverage the data, understand the data, and at the end, uh, it's my vision. Data governance and data cataloging is a business responsibility because the business owns and understands the operational use of the data, where IT is facilitating the integration and the documentation from a technical standpoint. So it's a real joint effort, and anyone in organization can benefit from this content. Now, to highlight the importance of data, let me share one figure from a Gartner study. 80% of the executive thinks that efficient use, meaning understanding and having knowledge around your data is a competitive advantage. So it's really important. It's understood by organization that if you master your data, you leverage your data, then you get you gain a competitive advantage. Now, how do we, from a data galaxy standpoint, make sure that we bring data to the people, that we are positioning ourselves as the data knowledge workplace? So for us, there are three main components. The first one is how you scan your IT landscape. So whatever your data stack is, we provide native connectors helping the ingestions of metadata. And this is not a one-off exercise. This is something that we provide as a feature to be able to schedule your ingestion on a ad hoc basis. So daily, monthly, weekly, depending on your needs, the system will automatically scan your data sources and ingest the metadata into the data catalog and mainly into the data dictionary part. Then, once you've built your technical foundation into your data catalog, you need to manage the content of your catalog and manage the data knowledge. So, how do we do that? We provide, from Data Galaxy perspective, a friendly interface to first classify your data assets from a technical and business standpoint, because technical is quite easy. You will reflect your data sources structure, your DBs, your Snowflake, your file stores. But from a business standpoint, you need to have a sound classification of your data assets into a business glossary. So we provide these feature, we provide lineage, we provide diagrams, we provide artificial intelligence to support your classification and curation of your data assets. But there, it's also one topic of the day. We need to talk about data governance. It's not that you just need an inventory of your data assets, but you need to bring intelligence and you need to bring governance around it. So that's where you will also be able to clearly define ownership of your data assets, data owners, data stewards, CDOs, experts, CISOs, DPOs, whoever plays a role around data in the organization. You will also be able to bring and document your data assets lifecycle, because data is moving quite fast in organization, and with big data, it's not always accurate. What is accurate today is no more accurate tomorrow. So you need to really manage the lifecycle. You need to manage as well unified enterprise definition and description to have a global understanding of your data. So these are functionalities or features that we bring, and additional aspects such as classification from GDPR or internal classification standpoint, or also integrate with data quality platforms, because not only that you understand your metadata, but you also need to understand the level of quality of your data assets. And there, with our API library, we can easily retrieve these information. So I think these two are quite important from a modern data cataloging aspect, but the ultimate feature or ultimate aspect is really how you share the knowledge across the organization. Because the point of building data catalog is not simply to do the exercise once and then just store it there. So it's really how you expose it to the organization and how you can allow people to share their expertise and knowledge in a collaborative platform, so they can suggest, they can modify, they can comment the data assets. So you cure, you enrich the content of your data catalog on a day-to-day basis. So for us, the way we expose this information is, of course, by connecting to the platform. This is a kind of a default approach, but we are going way further by integrating with the digital workplace of the user. So we provide, and I will show you during the demo, we provide browsers plugins that can
Mhm.
easily retrieve the information of the data catalog without connecting to the data catalog itself. Because quite frankly, I don't think that users are just waiting for another solution on a day-to-day basis to connect to and get information. So we need to find a way to make the content of the data catalog surface straight to the customer, straight to the user, without any burden.
Interesting.
And I'm just checking if we have questions on that part that
Yep.
I can answer.
Yeah.
Um,
Lauren, we have a few questions. Shraddha had some interesting questions, and this was her comment about data catalog approach in a raw data lake scenario will be great to understand. So, what's your thoughts on this?
in fact, it's a frequent scenario from our customers when they have data lake architecture. Usually, they have 2 or 3 stages within their data lake. They have raw data, which is really a copy, ISO copy of the transactional system. Then they have a kind of first curation, and then they have the golden version of the data with already some aggregation. And what we tend to do is, depending on your approach and strategy, either we document the 3 steps and we really show the organization how the data is transformed, so where it's coming from, how it's transformed, and how it's exposed. Or if it's a limited number of resources, we just start with the golden version. So you know
Mhm.
exactly what you're looking at. And then on a ad hoc or opportunistic approach, we go back to the previous stage and so on. So it's really the kind of scenarios we implement. And with our uh, connectors and plugins, let's pick a Snowflake or Azure SQL. I mean, we can simply scan whatever stage you want and retrieve the
Mhm.
information and document the information into Data Galaxy. I mean, it's really a strategy from the customer. It's not a technical constraint from our side.
Okay, that's pretty cool and amazing insights. So we have this another interesting question since we are on the topic of data cataloging and data governance. How do you connect data cataloging with data governance? Interesting.
But the for me, we have, if you look at the DAMA wheel, we have data management, we have data governance, we have, and then data cataloging, metadata management, security, and so on. So for me, what is important is you cannot have data governance without data cataloging, and the other way around. I mean, it's a whole package that you need to implement, and you need to define, and I will come back to it during the sharing of the best practice, but you need to define your basic principles of data governance with data policies, because this will be the way you communicate across the organization, and then reflect these data governance principles into your data cataloging solution. Because at the end, and we all know it, the tool will only do what you tell the tool to do. In fact, nothing will happen by
Right.
magic by implementing a data catalog. So you need really to sit down and think about how you want to manage data governance in your organization, centralized, federated, or just start with a line of business and then spread it around afterwards. That's really a strategy implementation. But you need both to be efficient, because it's a way to show your data governance principle to the organization by implementing them into the data catalog.
Okay, pretty interesting. And also, there was this question from Shraddha: Is the data discoverability push or pull? That is, can the tool identify new assets being ingested?
The approach of Data Galaxy is that we will pull the information from the source system. Uh, all the data lakes or transactional systems always remain the master. The golden source is there, but we will pull the information from this system and update on a whatever basis depending on the customer need. So it can be every day that you update your information, or it can be on a monthly basis. So each time you have a new asset, a new column, a new table, a new type of field, we will retrieve the information, document it into Data Galaxy, and then you can run specific reports to understand what has been updated last night, or last week, or last month. Yeah. So you have visibility on or and traceability on the incremental documentation of your data catalog.
Okay, pretty.
Cool. One question that I've been seeing, obviously, Rob has the question, but Shraddha had a similar type of question, which is more around the lines, can Data Galaxy scan an IT estate or data assets? If so, do you have a typical example of what can and what cannot be scanned?
So the approach of scanning your IT landscape or IT estate is not that we have a connector which will scan the entire world and retrieve information. This is not the way we operate, because anyway, we think that in terms of implementation strategy, scanning everything is not the right approach. Uh, I will also share it during the best practice, but what we think is start with an identified use case, and then based on the use case, derive the technical estate or IT estate and functional estate, and then scan these technologies. So for us, we have a connector. Well, we have plenty of connectors, but if you have an Azure environment, an AWS, and a Snowflake, you will run three different type of connectors because it's three different type of technologies. So we scan these, we retrieve them in our data dictionary. What we cannot scan, for instance, is unstructured data. I mean, today we don't have the magic wand to say, I will scan all the images, all the voice, all recordings, all videos. This is not feasible for now.
Okay, that's fair enough. Thanks for that. Thanks for the question, Rob, Shraddha. Very interesting questions. I think we are good to go ahead, Laurie.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. So, but it's a good transition to the best practice and how we could implement, and what are the main aspects of implementing your data catalog. So, first of all, I would say it needs to be use case driven. I've seen many projects where it failed because there was no use case. They were just trying to boil the ocean of their data assets, and they
Hmm.
were lost in all the activities. So, what we strongly recommend to our leads and customer base is identify one or two or three use cases, and then we will start small and be iterative through the implementation of the data catalog. But don't try to do everything at the same time. You will get lost. Then what is also important is, once you have your use case, make sure that you really spend a lot of time analyzing this use case to derive the technical scope. So which are the systems that needs to be documented, what are the data flows that needs to be documented, but also from a functional and business perspective, what are all the functional data assets, business terms, indicators, reports that I need to document? Because this will influence a lot the type of resources you need and the time frame of your project. And I had a very bad case at the beginning of my career at Data Galaxy, where the customers spent very little time in analyzing. So instead of loading and documenting 5 systems, we had 15. So it's 3 times the effort. It's 3 times the resources somehow that you need. So it's very important to keep the analysis under, I would say, on the radar. Then lineage is something very important. So lineage is just an outcome of your data catalog implementation. But when I say
Hmm.
lineage is important, it's because for me there are, in terms of use cases, two aspects. You have the surface of your use case and the depth of your use case. The surface means end to end, from a technical source to the exposition of your data into the organization. So let's say from your ERP up to your BI world. And you have this end to end traceability of your data within your use case, which is important to start with your data catalog. And then you have the depth of your use case, meaning, do I need to go in every single detail at column level in my data flows for my first use case? It's a question mark. For me, it's less important, that aspect, than the I would say end to end or surface of your use case. And again, I would say there, it's always the trade-off between which value you want to bring to the organization and the maintenance effort it will generate. And if you spend a lot of time to document detailed information, which will only be used by 2 or 3 people in the organization, I would say it's not worth the effort of your data catalog solution, because these 2 people might probably have access to the ETL platform and can derive the information from there. So it's also an important aspect there. Then do not hesitate to apply data governance by design. It means that instead of having this theoretical documentation and building of your data governance structure upfront, do rather a proof of value on a tool from which you
Mm-hmm.
can derive your data governance principles, the roles which are needed, and also you will immediately be very factual about what it means managing a data catalog versus the I think it's probably that amount of work. So that's a totally different approach. I've been on the theoretical side, being part of big consultancy players. But what we've seen is by starting small on a proof of value or proof of concept is way more efficient than creating this kind of big bang. Then another aspect or a best practice is open your data catalog as soon as possible or as quick as possible to the organization. Don't wait to have a perfect data catalog or a fully documented data catalog, because if you want to be iterative, you start small, you open it to the organization, you clearly tell the organization what's in it, or what's in the data catalog and what is not in the data catalog, but then you will get
Right.
a feedback loop which will be quite short, and then you can iterate and modify the content if needed. And then one last point is sponsorship. Sponsorship is not important, is mandatory. If you don't have senior leadership sponsorship, uh, somehow you will fail, because they are the only one who can secure the budget, who can secure the resources, and also who can spread the world of data vision in the organization so people understand why we are doing things. And if you don't have that part, you, of course, you can succeed on a very restricted scope, but you will never have this enterprise approach. And then uh, these were, for me, important aspects, but one of the most important is to be pragmatic. Uh,
Right.
don't try to boil the ocean. Don't try to build complex processes and complex organization. Try to remain as simple, as humble as possible. And the last
Right.
one is it's a human effort. It's a human project. So put the human at the center of every decision and every process. Tell the people why we do things. Tell the people what's in it for them. Listen to the people. If you forget this aspect, your initiative will die for sure, because people have so many things to do. If they don't see the value,
Right.
what's the point at the end?
100%.
Yeah, that's for me. Of course, there are other best practices. There are other principles for sure, but for me, these are the foundations. I mean, if you don't follow this, it will be quite
Yeah.
difficult to be successful at the end.
I think 100% I totally agree with you, Laurent, in terms of, these best practices, because first of all, your last point made like complete sense, because it needs to be very much connected to human. If you're making it very much easy and not having those complex functionality in place, it is way easier. Like in the data world, we know that we want to have a language which is business language, but at the same time we need to make sure that we're connecting the dots at a human level where everyone can understand about what we are talking. So 100%, I think these are great points here. We have one question here from Shraddha, and let's take this one. What is the best way to learn about the tool? Very interesting.
Okay, to learn about the tool, I mean, you have a couple of options. follow some of my webinars where I will be demonstrating the tool capabilities. You can
Nice.
also connect to our website where we have our blog, and you can understand how we can use the tool. And then, if you are even more interested in some tests because you want to implement the tool, or you're a consultant and you want to suggest this tool to your client or organization, you can reach out to our commercial force through our website, and we would be more than happy to provide you with a test instance for 2 weeks, and so you can play around.
Okay, that's good information. I'm just sharing the website with the folks as well. So if you want to learn more about the resources, the blogs, and obviously Laurent has been it's been a busy year for Laurent. So he's around everywhere. That's what I've been seeing him at a lot of conferences, webinars, podcasts. So I'm sure you can always get those insights by attending those events. But yeah,
Yeah,
about the use case, wanted to learn
and
more about it.
do not hesitate to reach out to me as well on LinkedIn. I would be more than happy to share insights with you guys.
Amazing. And one before we move, obviously, Lauren, let's have one question here from Rob. What is your main differentiator compared to other data catalogs on the market? Very interesting. It's a good pitch
Very
that you can have.
very interesting question. Um, what I would say is, first of all, it depends on why organizations implement data catalog. And you have some who are highly technically or yeah, technically or IT focused, and they might pick very I would say technical solutions which are very efficient. Then you have some who are more around data centricity with business and IT, and that's where we come into play against other very good solutions. But what is our differentiator is our focus is to bring data to the people, is to bring data to the business people. And we really want to serve the business users. We, of course, we will serve the IT organization because this is part of data cataloging, but our main objective is to bring value to the business users. And uh, to serve this purpose, we have user-friendly interface, easy connections to data sources with plenty of connectors. We have collaborative features. We have integration with digital workplace, and that's where you see that we bring data to the people in their environment. And this is for us key vision and development differentiators, because we want to serve the non-technical people through a very easy to use interface. We can also talk about pricing, but Rob, I suggest that you get in touch with me to discuss this in a private exchange.
Awesome. This is pretty interesting. One last question that we'll take and then we'll move ahead. Why do you see modern data catalog as a game changer?
Uh, yes, well, it's a game changer. And why do I see it as a game changer? It's because we will give the power to the users to manage and enrich data. And this is data assets. This is really important. If I compare today versus 15 years or 20 years back, data documentation was purely technical from the IT side. Then some of the BI people would also be interested because they need to build dashboard and understand where the data is coming from. Today, everybody has a role to play in the data value chain and needs to understand its responsibility and impact on the data. And that's where modern data catalog will allow each player to share his knowledge or enrich in a data catalog, or simply consume and get answers to the question. How often in your organization you were wondering about the definition of a business term of an indicator? So you call Ravit calls
Hmm.
Laurent calls John, and at the end we don't have a clear definition. Now with integration of modern data cataloging into digital workplace, I simply type in my plugin, and I will immediately get the enterprise definition. And these aspects are really, really game changer to how you value data and how you become data centric in the organizations.
Okay, that's good information, Lauren. One last thing, one last question. Definitely, for sure, we're taking this one. Do you connect CDPs like Treasure Data, maybe Snowplow, others as well?
What do you mean by treasure data?
I
Um,
think it's yeah. Treasure Data is a company out there, I guess, who are into the CDP, like Snowplow and Rudderstack, I guess.
well, in fact, from a technical standpoint, if you go to our website, you will see all connectors or connection capabilities we have. But of course, we don't have connectors to all technologies of the world, but we have a library of public APIs which can do anything into the data catalog. So we can, for sure, if the system is open enough, leverage the APIs and build this mechanism to retrieve. I see that Shraddha is telling that it's a customer data platform. So if it's an customer MDM, for instance, or customer 360, we can retrieve the information from there, the metadata from the platform. Let's say if it's an Oracle database behind or an SQL database, we will be able to retrieve and document everything into our data dictionary and then work with the business to document it from a functional standpoint.
Okay, pretty cool. Thanks for that question, Shraddha. And yeah, more to learn about the lineage
Yeah,
today.
I will briefly show you a couple of examples of what our platform can do, and
Yes.
I will. Okay. First example is how to leverage our browser plugin. So I'm in the Power BI public library. So I have a report on customer, and I have a churn index. And let's say I'm new to the organization. I just joined the company, and I want to understand what churn index means. So from my browser, what I can do is, whoops, in fact
Yeah, no
leverage.
worries.
No problem. Is leverage Data Galaxy Data Catalog plugin and search for my customer index. And from there, the system will show me, okay, these are the information I have in the data catalog, and I have an indicator which is called customer churn index. And then from there, I can get the definition of this indicator, the enterprise definition. I can also understand which domains are using this information, so marketing and sales here, but also, even more important, the life cycle of this indicator. So it's a validated one, it's currently up to date. And I can also check who's the data owner of this indicator and who's the data steward. So if I have questions, I can immediately identify the right person and get in touch with this person instead of calling Ravit, Laurent, John, and whoever may have the information in the organization. So that's really how we leverage and make the content of the data catalog surface into the digital workplace of the user by having this plugin. The user can search technical items, functional items, indicators, columns, tables, business terms, reports, whatever is available in the data catalog will be available into this plugin. So it's one way for the common users to get information on data assets. Now, if I go into Data Galaxy platform as such, I can, for instance, search for a report. And you see here, I have a monthly sales. I'm a new guy in sales, and I want to, in fact, understand what reporting is available, monthly sales performance. So system will, like any search engine, display the results of the search, but I can also filter on technology if I want to see monthly sales report in Power BI, I can apply filters. And then what will happen, I will get the information about this report. So I see here what we call the object card. So it's the information about the report with a screenshot of the report. So it's not dynamic, it's just a screen capture of the report. Who's the owner? Who's the data steward? What is its status? The description, usage information that we can retrieve through APIs. We can document the access to the report, but most importantly, I can also get the lineage of my report. Okay, and I can see that in fact my monthly sales performance report is made of these functional items. So the sales performance report is using these business terms, these indicators. If I want to understand the definition or the calculation of this indicator from my data lineage, I just preview the information and I have the calculation method. So I understand the item. And then from a technical standpoint, I see that my monthly sales performance is coming from my enterprise data warehouse, but this information from my data warehouse is coming from SAP here or another platform. And then this information from SAP is also coming through API from another system. So I can trace back my report up to the transactional system. And if you remember about the slide I had on scanning, that's where our connectors will play a role, because this part of technical assets will be automatically documented with our connector. The transformation here goes the same. So we have connectors which can retrieve all the data flows with the, I would say, incoming and outgoing columns, and then display this entire lineage, which is generated automatically by the platform. So of course, it might not be in the interest of all the common people in the organization because they can leverage the plugin. But if I need to get more information, of course, I can go into more details into the data catalog and understand here lineage of a report, but lineage of a column, lineage of a business term. I can also see here that to generate my report, I'm applying data quality rules. So there are plenty of aspects and dimensions that can be made available to the organization into this modern data cataloging, and it can serve all the part of the organization, either a simple question on an item, either the traceability of a report for a BI guy or sales guy, or as a database admin, understand that if I modify something on my PM ATN column in SAP, what is the impact down the road up to the consumption of this column? So it's really how you link everything together and have this what we call the data knowledge workplace. So regarding of your role, regarding of your interest, you can get the right level of information into the platform. I will come back to the presentation, and do not hesitate to ask questions. I'm there to help.
Amazing. I think this has been pretty interesting, insights that you have shared, Lauren. I think the audience definitely had like they've already posted questions there, and then we've taken most of them. But my quick question, obviously looking at the best practices that you've shared, and also you've shared great information in terms of the use cases at the same time. But I'm kind of curious to learn more about how do you advise your customer the best practices that they can adapt? What's like the point, where you say that these are the things that you can follow and make it a success for you in your organization?
In fact, beside providing the tool and best practices, we also have an implementation methodology at Data Galaxy that we share with our customers. And we, in fact, we refuse to simply deliver the tool without helping them. Not that the tool is complex to use, but many organizations are new to data cataloging and they need to be guided
Hmm.
in a way to implement. And our methodology really helps them on a weekly basis on how to identify use cases, how to identify roles, how to model technically, how to model your business glossary, how to bring this forward in the organization, how to open it to the users, either
Yeah.
ourselves at Data Galaxy, or we work also with a network of partners who are around data management, data governance for quite some time that can also help organization with this journey. Yeah.
Okay.
But
That's pretty interesting.
methodology is important because you cannot go in any direction, but in all direction at the same time. You need really to follow a path. Yeah.
100%. I think I totally agree with that. So thanks for sharing that. I think you've shared some amazing insights today around data cataloging, best practices, data governance, and obviously data lineage as well. So thanks for that, Lauren. Obviously my my favorite question to our audience, like the guests, are like the two favorite questions. One thing is, if people want to learn from the resources that you guys are providing at Data Galaxy, where can they find them? And the second question is, if folks want to reach out to you, which is the best place?
Okay. Well, if they want to learn about Data Galaxy capabilities, features, and so on, they can reach to our website. We have content there. We have white papers. We also have a blog section that can help them understanding our vision and capabilities. And then if they want to reach out to me, if you can show back the presentation, there is a QR
Yep.
code with my LinkedIn profile. Do not hesitate to reach out. I'm always happy to share around data governance topics and data cataloging topics. And also tomorrow, if you want to implement a data catalog solution, reach out to me as well. We can work together.
Okay, that's pretty cool. I was just checking in. Yeah, definitely your profile just shows up with that QR code. So if people want to reach out to and learn more about data cataloging, data governance, and follow the amazing data kitchen blogs that Lauren comes up with, don't hesitate. Reach out to him on LinkedIn, and I'm sure you'll learn a lot from the insights that he always shares. But this was amazing, Lauren. I can't obviously wait to do another session with you. We've already had like a long relation where you've gave us and the Ravit Show audience such amazing insights into the data cataloging, data governance, data lineage. I think data in general as well. You always connected very well with your journey, so which makes it uh, more interesting for the audience. And you've been kind enough to answer and all the questions. And also, thanks to our audience for attending the show today. Feel free to reach out to Lauren if you have any other questions. I'm sure he'll be happy to help. But one last thing before we wrap this up, like I mentioned, we'll be announcing a winner of 365 Data Science. So your I pull and we have 8 entries. So all the best for those who have entered the raffle. Let's do the raffle very quickly. I hope it doesn't pick me. It was just to show the audience. All right, Yeturi Vani, congratulations. You win an annual subscription of 365 Data Science. Feel free to reach out to me and I'll share the code with you. So yeah, that was it. Lauren, thank you very much once again.
Thank you very much, Ravit, for this opportunity. It's always a pleasure to share data governance, data cataloging insights with you and the community. So looking forward for another session.
Sounds like a plan. I am definitely looking forward to another one. And thank you very much once again, Lauren. Thank you everyone for joining us today.
Thank you.